My name's Kelly Sullivan. I'm from the Port Gamble Sklallam tribe. I am a wool weaver for the past, I learned in probably 2016, and that was because I wanted to expand my knowledge in my own culture. So I was at a point in my life where I felt like I had time and energy to immerse into something. I was at an age where I should be contributing in a way to our culture and our community. So that was at least what I felt like. And so I wanted to make wool regalia for myself, my kids. I'm an auntie, like I said, and I wanted it to be more common. In my tribe, we didn't have wool weavers, and so I didn't set out to be a teacher, but I know that when you learn something, you teach it. At least that's how I am, and I like to show other people how to do things. I like to save them trouble, solve problems, things like that. So teaching other people after I learned it was just exciting, and you will be excited too when you learn how to make a skirt or a headband and you see someone wearing it and feeling beautiful. And so those were some reasons that it pulled me. It was either going to be my language or weaving, and I went towards the weaving. And later I learned from one of our teachers that he said, you should be doing both. And so since then, I've spent time learning how to pronounce letters. That's where I decided if I learned the phonetical sounds of letters, then at least when I see a word, I could at least sound it out. I might not know what it says, but it won't be so foreign to me. So that's where I grew a little bit. But he challenged me to do it anyway when I felt overwhelmed. And they definitely go hand in hand. And so he's right. My name's Kelly Sullivan. I am the weaver of these three pieces. One of the focuses of my part of the curation was spinning. So I went for an overspun shawl and skirt. The yarn is spun tighter than normal. And so when you spin this yarn really tight, you know when you spin like your hair, it curls up on itself and it will stay there if you spin it the right way. Well, the way we do this is the loom on the back there is how it would look on the loom, and it would be overspun before we put it on. So then when you take out the bar at the bottom, all of these little fringes pop up and pop to life, that they twist up on themselves. And so it really is like the weaving spirit is coming to life as you're taking it off the loom. It's transforming from yarn to a skirt right before your eyes. And it's one of my favorite things. And it's a little bit fancy. So when you want to be fancy, you make overspun, I guess. So I don't consider myself a spinner. It's just something that we learn as apprentices, and to learn for the whole process so that we don't take things for granted, that if we want to do something, we can, but we're not all gifted with the same things. I made friends with a spinner, and she helped spin up my yarn that I didn't have time for. She does a better job than I do, and to me, that's one of the best parts about weaving, and one that I didn't really know would be part of weaving. It seems like a solo art form, a creative art form that's by myself, but it has nothing to do with me by myself. It's all the people and spirits who have been part of the land, the animal, the place that the animal came from, all the plants the animal ate, all of those things, all the people that helped gather, all of the animals that left their little tufts all over the things. These are all different animals. So when you think about how many spirits are in the weaving, especially after you dye it and add color and materials, it's pretty incredible. And so I named the shawl Many Hands. When I reflected back, the dyes are alder cones. You'll see them over there on the side. They're literally one of the easiest things to gather. You see them in your driveway, your yard. before the rain starts, you pick them up off the ground so the rain doesn't leach out all the stuff. But even little kids can pick these up, and it's one of the coolest things. People at work bring me little bags. They take walks with staff. They pick them up and bring them back. It's so rewarding for them to see this, knowing they gave me little bags here and there. And I think that's really cool. And people are excited for me because of that. The brown in my shawl is alder cones and the purse, and the red is red Cortinarius mushrooms. And if I go gather red Cortinarius mushrooms, I'll find one. I mean, I never have found one, but Susan might have found some. But the thing is, like, I wouldn't be able to find all that I needed for this, so we bought them from friends. But it produced this really cool pink, and my first goal was a shawl. And then the extra stuff happened because I had extras. And so the skirt's a little bit of a bonus, and the thing behind it is it's almost all little scraps. And no one knows that because I had to tuck a million ends in on the strap. But the material is so precious that you don't waste it. And it's a whole added level of stress when you're working with it to make sure you have enough color or enough yarn, because you kind of estimate as you go, but then you look at old weavings. I don't think we have one in here that would show this, but sometimes they will have a green triangle and all of a sudden it's red or a different shade of green. And that's probably because they ran out and they just started with a new thing. So looking at the old collections helped me kind of give myself freedom to not make mistakes, but go with the flow. And even though we see them as perfect, they're pretty imperfect when you look really close. One of the other things I like to point out about mine is the pin and the buttons are from my nephew. He's 24 years old. He never made a pin before, and I challenged him to get deer bones because he's a hunter, and he brought me a pin that was so beautiful I was able to put it on display. And so it makes me really proud that me, my nephew, and my fellow tribal member Roxanne could be part of the museum, and our tribe can be documented in this way. I'm the oldest of 32 grandkids on my mom's side. She's non-tribal. My grandpa called me, he's 92, and he called me up and he said, "How's the weaving going?" I'm like, "Good." Like, I don't know why you're calling, but it's great. Like, we're getting calls all the time from the museum to come out. I'm going there next week. And I made this really big commission piece for my family member that it's kind of a story of their legacy. They're immigrants. They're refugees from Vietnam. And so they're now established and have a home that they've built that they want it to pass down and stuff. So I made this big twined piece for them, and I did this really big green bar because my grandparents are Irish. My grandpa is a dual citizen of Ireland. His dad came over from Ireland and built streets in Seattle when he was little. So he's very, very proud Irish. And he called, he's like, "Well, I was looking at that and it's so pretty. And you need to remember your Irish side too when you do these weavings." And I said, "Oh yeah, I do. I go, "Did you see the big green bar?" Because it's huge and it's like right in the middle for your eye, and it literally was for him and my grandma. It wasn't just a bar, it was stripes. He said, "Yes, but I'd like you to start putting a shamrock as a little sign somewhere." And it's his personal, like his business and everything is a shamrock, and like, what choice do I have but to start putting a shamrock in my weavings? Up until recently, I've never really connected my Irish culture and my Coast Salish culture. Not because I haven't seen similarities, but I just never been able to take a dive into weaving on that side of my family. And having my grandpa take interest, he's 92 years old, and it just makes me inspired to go connect the dots. So I'm hoping that's in my future and I can learn more about that, especially when it comes to the textiles and how they spun or how they processed wool, those kinds of things. My hopes for my future are centered around my community and my kids, that I just hope this community I live in and work in is continually thriving and seeking out the answers from our traditions that may have been lost or forgotten. And weaving is just an example of all the things we need to bring back. And I'm just excited to see the momentum and the interest with everybody. It's really great to see new weavers showing themselves in our community when there were very, very few in the last recent years.